Elijah Moore is finally free. Let's talk about it. But first, I'm going to keep reminding you guys about flockfantasy.com/endgame. If you love fantasy football, which if you're watching this, you obviously do because it's March and you're watching a fantasy football video, this is where you need to be. Four creators coming together, us, Flock Fantasy, Fantasy Stock Exchange, Dynastyland Football, all coming together to bring you guys the best YouTube collaboration ever. You get access to our rankings, plus everybody else's rankings. We got rankings for Dynasty Superflex, Dynasty 1QB, Best Ball. We will have redraft rankings when it gets closer to the time for your drafts and all season long as well. Also, bonus articles written by yours truly, Pierre, plus the other creators as well. Bonus content, videos from yours truly, Pierre, and others. Not to mention, also, you get first access to our live streams, our first access to our mock drafts. Those things fill up so fast. You get priority access to our mock drafts. You're going to get priority access to special member-only endgame fantasy football leagues. We've got tons of cool stuff planned for the site, so don't miss it. Get in there. Flockfantasy.com/endgame gets you 30% off any subscription, plus access to our new Discord server, flockfantasy.com/endgame. All right, let's go into it. We're talking Elijah Moore, the Elijah Moore trade tonight. It finally happened. They finally did it. They finally freed Elijah Moore, sending him to the Browns for the number 42 pick and pick 74. I guess a good deal, probably a good deal for both sides, really, because look, the Jets have been signing all these, like McCole Hardman, two of Alan Lazar, like these, whatever. I don't know, trying to make things better for Aaron Rodgers, I guess. But Elijah Moore obviously wasn't part of the plan. He was barely part of the plan even last year. So they get pick 42 and 74 for a guy that they really weren't going to use. The Browns get a guy that they really need, honestly. This is great for Elijah Moore. Let's start with Elijah Moore first. This is great for Elijah Moore because, number one, who knows what his role is going to be in New York this year, if the Jets even wanted him on the field or not. Now we know he's going somewhere to a team that wants him. He's going to play out of the slot. David Bell, who they drafted last year, they used a lot in the slot, did not cut it, did not look good. If you watched my top 14 breakout wide receivers video, I had him almost dead last. The only reason why I didn't have him dead last is because Wan'Dale Robinson tore his ACL and will probably miss half the year or more. Otherwise, David Bell would have been last, like almost no chance for a breakout. Now there's definitely no, I'd probably put him last now, even with Wan'Dale, because no chance with Elijah Moore at David Bell is breaking out. But this is really good for Elijah Moore because he's going to be able to play out of the slot. He's going to play with Deshaun Watson now. I know Watson was bad down the stretch last year, but I think Watson gets a lot better this year. Finally, we'll have a full offseason with the team, with the coaches, without all the distractions. I think we see the Deshaun Watson we saw, prior to all this stuff, and I think that's great for Elijah Moore. I mean, I'm not bumping him up to like round 3 or round 4 or anything if we're talking about redraft. I still think he's kind of like in that 7-8 round kind of range. But definitely a guy, I mean, it might be too late to take shots on him in Dynasty because his value might be going up too much now. But I definitely think this is great for Elijah Moore. The Browns did not run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets last year. I think it was something like 70%. But they'll run more now because they didn't have a guy like Elijah Moore out of the slot. They're going to run a lot of 3 wide receiver. I think the Browns are going to pass a lot more. And Elijah Moore is still very good. So Matt Harmon, who we love here in the Endgame community. We love the work Matt Harmon does. We are going to have Matt Harmon on the show twice this year. We're going to have him coming up here pretty soon before the NFL draft to go over the incoming rookies. And then we're going to have him again later on, closer to draft season, to talk about more of the veterans. But this is what he said about Elijah Moore. 72.7% success rate versus man. That's really good. 75.8% success rate versus press. Also very good. And he said actually a slight improvement over his rookie year. This is for last year. So he was better last year than the year before. And the Jets, I don't know if it was an attitude thing or what, but the Jets just didn't feel like using him. And here is his reception perception. You can see here, great route runner on most routes, can get separation, can get open, has the speed, has the Jets. I think he's going to be really good in this offense, in this system with Deshaun Watson, with a team that actually wants him. So I was already kind of liked him as a sneaky pick. Now I'm very high on him next year. And then let's talk about on the Jets side, Garrett Wilson. I'm moving Garrett Wilson up. I already had him over Davante Adams because, assuming that they actually complete the trade for Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers doesn't end up retiring or something crazy, assuming Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback, which Aaron Rodgers says he wants to be the quarterback, so it just comes down to making the trade. I already had him over Davante Adams. I'm getting really close to putting him over A.J. Brown, and here's why. Number one, Garrett Wilson, awesome, going into year 2. But number 2, he doesn't have Devonta Smith. He's got nobody. He's got Mecole Hardman, Allen Lazard, Corey Davis, Denzel Mims. Like, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to throw these guys the ball very much. He's going to force feed Garrett Wilson. I could see Garrett Wilson getting close to a 30% target share next year from Aaron Rodgers. I like A.J. Brown, but we saw last year Devonta Smith is also very, very good. And there's going to be weeks where Devonta Smith is going to get the bulk of the targets and A.J. Brown is going to take a back seat. That's not going to happen to Garrett Wilson. Now, if they go out and trade for DeAndre Hopkins or, somebody like that, okay, maybe I'll move him down. But right now, it's looking like Garrett Wilson going to get a massive target share from Aaron Rodgers. They have no other wide receivers. I don't quite have him over A.J. Brown yet, but man, I really want to put him over A.J. Brown. So my rankings would be, in case you're curious, it would be Jefferson, Chase, Hill, Kupp, Lamb, Diggs, and then it's right there between Wilson and A.J. Brown. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I like it for Elijah Moore. It's terrible for David Bell. I have David Bell in a dynasty league. I drafted him in one of our rookie leagues or one of our rookie drafts last year thinking, oh, he's got Deshaun Watson. He could do it. Not going to happen for David Bell anytime soon. This is also really good for Garrett Wilson. Not any competition yet. We'll see what happens. There's also rumors maybe Odell, which would not move Garrett Wilson down at all for me. I'm not worried about Odell. So let's jump into some questions. If you guys have any, I'd like to stay on topic just about Elijah Moore for this one. So, we don't need to go off on like Austin Eckler or Derrick Henry or things we've covered usually, but let's just keep it to Elijah Moore tonight and what happened in this trade. So Bartomania saying, cheers, what's up? Good to see you. Stinger, what is up? Look, another reason to sign up. I signed up for Flock Fantasy, and within 3 days, my boss told me that I was his personal hero, and I was mistaken for Jimmy G by several women I didn't know. If you need another reason to join, flockfantasy.com/endgame. Get in there. You know what? I'm not sure. Nick asking what's the price of the Mother Flocker tier on the news site. I'm not sure. I think if you go to flockfantasy.com/endgame, I believe it's under $100 for the whole year. If you sign up for the whole year, you can also do month to month, I believe. But I'm not sure exactly. But you get 30% off. Go to flockfantasy.com/endgame. 30% off. So definitely a great deal. And then Nate saying Jets will add a real wide receivers too before the season starts. I mean, maybe they've already added Allen Lazard and Mecole Hardman. How many wide receivers can they add? Like, are they just going to roll with 10 wide receivers going into next season? I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. We'll see. But it would depend who it is, right? Like I said, if it's Odell, don't care. I don't even know who else it would be. Like, who else would it be at this point? What free agents are even left? There's no free agents. It would have to be a trade. Like I said, if they go out and trade for Hopkins or Judy, if they traded for Judy, I wouldn't like Garrett Wilson quite as much. I'd probably still have him over Adams, but definitely not over A.J. Brown at that point. So I'm not really sure who they could get at this point. And then Stinger with the hot take. Stinger has been good this year in our drafts, but the hot take, I have Wilson beneath Amon-Ra St. Brown. Really? Beneath Amon-Ra St. Brown. That seems low to me. That seems low. And then Stinger saying they're going to get Cobb and Mercedes Lewis. I mean, at this point, why not? Just get all the old Packers. Maybe Jordy Nelson can come out of retirement. Greg Jennings. What's Greg Jennings doing these days? Can he still play football? Maybe he could come out of retirement too. All right, and then somebody's got to explain this to me because this is the second time I've seen this. What is this? Giga Chad? What is this thing? What is this Giga Chad thing? I don't know what this is. So Somebody's got to explain that to me. Explain it to the old guy. But anyways, I wanted to jump on, talk about the Elijah Moore trade. Again, I really like Elijah Moore. Check this out. Check out his reception perception. This is a good wide receiver. The Jets, I don't know if it was an attitude thing or with the coaches or what, but this is a good wide receiver. Is it an alpha, elite wide receiver? No, but it's a very good wide receiver. It's a very good wide receiver too, with tons of upside, tons of speed, tons of vertical game. I like him. I think Elijah Moore is going to have a big bounce back year. Don't go crazy for him. Don't start drafting him, like 4th, 5th round. Like I said, 8th, 9th round seems fair. Go put offers out in Dynasty, but it might be too late for him. So anyways, finally, Elijah Moore is free. Stinger saying Moore has huge potential and upside, but never got the QB in a situation to become elite. Yeah, that's another thing. This is only year 3. He's only in year 3. We're not talking about this isn't like Allen Robinson, right, a couple years ago, who bombed on the Bears, and then we gave him a pass when he went to the Rams thinking it was the Bears, and maybe he was just old and dusty. He's only going into year 3. He's still very young, still very good. Loving Elijah Moore, loving the situation for him, loving Garrett Wilson even more now, even though I was already high on him. Now I'm even higher on Garrett Wilson. So, yeah, that's it. And if you haven't already, check it out, flockfantasy.com/endgame. And if you haven't, if you're watching this, subscribe, like, do all that stuff. We're dropping videos every day, live streams every day, mock drafts every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Get in them. Appreciate you guys. Wanted to jump on quick and do this. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Mock draft, 8 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night.